The biggest number in pharma deals is often the least real number. $95 billion was promised. $9 billion arrived. A 9.5% payout rate, over 90% of the contingent dollars written into deal contracts never changed hands. Last episode, we covered the repricing. $110 billion in headline deal value for China's pharma licensing out in the first half of 2026. Upfront payments quadrupled. The terms changed. Now the other side. The terms changed on paper, but the gap between signing and delivering is where most of the value lives. And most of it evaporates. The SRS Acquiom data is blunt. Of 609 milestone events that came due across biopharma deals, 443 were missed, 136 were achieved. A 22% hit rate, 45% of deals collected zero earnout money, only 5% collected 75% or more of what was promised. This is not a China problem, this is a pharma problem. The data covers 342 global deals. Signing is a press release, delivering is a marathon. Most don't finish. The milestone structure in a typical licensing deal looks like a waterfall. Clinical milestones, regulatory milestones, commercial milestones. Each tier pays more. Each tier is harder to reach. The data confirms what everyone in BD knows but few say out loud. Preclinical milestone achievement rate by value. Roughly 55%. By phase 3, 12%. Commercial stage, 5%. The further you go, the harder it gets. The big money sits at the back. The easy milestones sit at the front. First patient dosed. Trial initiation. These are procedural gates. The buyer controls the timeline. The seller waits. BMS and SystImmune. SystImmune received a $250 million milestone payment when Isabren completed first patient dosing in a global phase 3 study. Real money, real event. But $250 million against a total milestone pool of up to $7.6 billion, 3%, the check cleared. The remaining 97% is still conditional. Legend Biotech and Johnson & Johnson, the deepest milestone achievement record among Chinese licenses. Cumulative milestones received. Approximately $470 million. Remaining, about $880 million still pending. Even the best performing partnership is halfway home at best. Then there is the kind that gets renegotiated down. Legend Biotech disclosed in its 2024 annual report that both parties agreed to modify the clinical development plan. Approximately $250 million in remaining development milestones were deemed no longer eligible, reduced to roughly $30 million, $220 million in expected payments, gone. Not because the science failed, because the plan changed. This is the quiet part. Milestones are not fixed, they are contractual constructs. The buyer has more leverage after signing than before. Before signing, the seller has competition for the asset. After signing, the seller has one partner. The power asymmetry flips. Missing a milestone is one thing, terminating the deal is another. GSK and Elector. Signed July 2021. GSK paid $700 million upfront, committed up to $1.5 billion in additional milestones. Both lead antibodies failed. Latozinemab reached phase 3. Did not slow cognitive decline. Nivisnabart halted at phase 2 by a futility analysis. GSK gave written notice on the 6th of July 2026. Termination effective the 2nd of January 2027. Most of the $1.5 billion will never be paid. Merck KGaA and Hengrui Pharma. Signed October 2023. Upfront, €160 million. Potential total, €1.4 billion. In March 2026, Merck terminated the PARP1 inhibitor collaboration and dropped the Claudin 18.2 ADC option. Pipeline priority adjustment, €1.4 billion in potential value, gone. None of these are scandalous. They are normal. Pharma portfolios shift. New CEOs arrive. A program that was priority number 3 at signing becomes priority number 9 2 years later. The milestone structure gives the buyer the option to walk. And they do. The buyer holds the option, the seller holds the risk. You might think the risk ends at approval. It does not. Alexion and Xencor. Xencor licensed its XmAb technology to Alexion for Ultomiris. Royalties were flowing. Then in March 2026, Alexion informed Xencor it no longer believed it owed additional royalties on U.S. sales. Xencor had expected roughly $100 to $120 million through 2028. Alexion said, no. 4 months of dispute. In July 2026, they settled. Xencor received $105 million. In exchange, Alexion has no further obligation on U.S. royalties, roughly 90 cents on the dollar. But the ongoing U.S. royalty stream is gone. A post-approval dispute on a commercialized multi-billion-dollar product. The deal was signed, the drug worked, the FDA approved it. And the royalty terms still got challenged. In Pharma, the contract is not the end of negotiation. It is the beginning. The buyer has lawyers, the buyer has time, the seller has milestones that expire. In the last episode, we left Hengrui Pharma at 3 complete response letters, all for manufacturing, none for clinical data. CARES 310 delivered the best liver cancer survival data globally. The FDA rejected it 3 times. Because the factory could not prove it was controlled. Since then, a new twist. The third CRL arrived the 10th of July, 2026, citing deficiencies at a rivoceranib API facility. By July 15, that facility received a voluntary action indicated classification from the FDA, the key issue cited in the CRL. Resolved in 5 days. But a second Form 483 emerged, a different facility, Dongjin Road, Lianyungang. Finished drug product, 9 observations, aseptic processing deficiencies, a batch released to the US without supporting stability analysis. HLB, Elevar's parent company, is now considering a 2-track strategy, fix the issues with Hengrui, and secure a separate US CMO, the quote. Given that this is a product we intend to sell for over 10 years, we believe we cannot continue to bear the same manufacturing facility risks repeatedly. The deal was signed, the clinical data is best in class. But the manufacturing gate keeps producing new doors. Each one takes months. Each resolution may surface new observations. The clock runs. The patent cliff does not wait. Now the counterweight. This is not a story about inevitable failure. It is a story about what it takes to succeed. WuXi Biologics. MFG8 facility in Hebei, China, passed FDA pre-license inspection on the 9th of July 2026. 7-day inspection by 3 FDA inspectors. All cleared. WuXi Biologics has maintained a 100% pass rate across all FDA pre-license inspections. 46 regulatory inspections completed, 22 by the FDA and EMA, over 1,800 GMP quality audits by global clients, 0 critical findings. The contrast with Hengrui is structural. WuXi Biologics is a CDMO. Its entire business model is manufacturing to a regulator standard. Each facility is an iteration. Each inspection compounds into trust. Hengrui is a drug developer. Manufacturing is a cost center, not a profit center. The incentive structure is different. The result is different. This is the gate. Not the molecule, not the clinical data. The ability to prove, batch after batch, year after year, that your process is controlled. That is what converts a signed deal into a delivered product. That is what makes milestones payable instead of expirable. $95 billion promised, $9 billion paid. The gap is the distance between signing and delivering. In China's pharma, the signing phase is accelerating. The repricing is real. But the delivery phase is just beginning. Hengrui's 3 CRLs are the most visible symptom. The terminated partnerships are the quiet ones. The renegotiated milestones are the ones nobody announces. WuXi Biologics shows the alternative. A 100% FDA inspection pass rate, built over years. That is the position of a company whose entire business model depends on passing through the manufacturing gate. Position decides return. In pharma post-deal execution, what decides return is the compliance infrastructure that converts promises into payments.
But position is not permanent. It moves. In pharma, it moves from seller to buyer. The moment the ink dries, the same things is happening right now in AI. Pricing power is moving from one layer to the stack to another. DeepSeek did not just build a cheaper mode. It moved where pricing power sits. That is the next repricing, not in pharma, in tech. We open that gate next episode. Drop a comment. What a percentage of current China pharma licensing deal will reach their full milestone payouts? I read everyone. If this gives you a new angle, subscribe and hit a bell. New episodes every week. Next episode, the biggest pricing power transfer in tech. DeepSeek, where the money goes.